in the financial district of Shanghai. I mean, this is where China's economy is right here. I mean, this is the big financial markets right here, right? I mean, we're right in Pudong. I mean, this is it. I mean, this is really the backbone of China's financial system right behind us. Many of you probably know the story, but I mean, this is the Oriental Pearl TV Tower. So basically, that was the first building built here, I think, in maybe 1991, 92. So early 90s. China built that as a very futuristic building to kind of symbolize that they are going to be opening up, the Pudong side of the city, and basically everywhere where we're sitting. So, I mean, this huge, mall that we're in and the skyscraper that we're in right now, none of this existed, 20, 30 years ago. So, or actually 30 years ago.
I think the other thing that, some people have said that actually you look different today it says Cyrus looks different. Maybe that's because, you're quite relaxed here. You got a t-shirt on and we're in Shanghai. And I mean, it's interesting, huh?
I think so when I was on my podcast earlier this afternoon, so this is quite funny. So I came in here and I had some guys reach out to me, and they have a great podcast. For the long-term viewers of the channel, it's called The Honest Drink. It's the Honest Drink podcast. And I was on that show probably about 18 months ago. And we uploaded about our interview, we uploaded it to YouTube. And they always wanted me to come do a live session with them in their studio. And so Justin, the gentleman who runs the podcast, he sent me a message yesterday. And he's like, Cyrus, I saw your YouTube post. He's like, see if you can make some time for me in Shanghai. And I said, man, my schedule's so jammed. The only way that it's going to happen is I got to get there right from the airport. Like, you're going to be the first person I meet in Shanghai. And it was amazing, Alex. So we're going to the French Concession, which if you haven't been to Shanghai or the French Concession, it is this old part of the city that's actually probably one of the most beautiful parts of the city. You have these old streets that have these just beautiful blossoming trees. There's just trees everywhere with these beautiful green blossoms, and it's just a very picturesque area. And there's these old alleyways, and so they have this old alleyway that you're walking down, and then all of a sudden you open a door and it's this brand new podcast studio that's all fitted out. It's got like wood floors. They've got all the sound panels there, and they have it's called The Honest Drink. So they all usually they pour out some whiskey for the interviewers and for the guests, and we had a nice chat there. And so I think I do feel really relaxed because the guy said, Cyrus, you've just got this incredible energy. I mean, I'm going on a lot of adrenaline right now because I've been really waiting to get back to China to this is the first video that we're having on the channel, while I'm in China. But it's just, we have a lot of stories to tell. And like I said, the goal with this live stream is really, what is China like in 2023? That's a question that I want to answer very much for this, for this trip, for these next 7 days. And we're going to go through my trip and what I'm going to be doing. But it's very much, I want to see what China's like. It's been almost 4 years since I've last visited here. Obviously, we follow China every day as far as geopolitics and how it moves. But, you want to get in with the people. I mean, we had a walk this afternoon on the Bund. People were coming up to us, chatting. I mean, so everyone was curious about what we're doing. I mean, it was awesome. Great energy in the city.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to have you back. The other thing that I wanted to tell the audience is this is actually the first time that I've actually met Cyrus in person. We've chatted. You've seen us on live streams before, and this is one of the first times that we've actually, met each other in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty amazing. I mean, so Alex, our story goes back to, really, well, we first connected during the pandemic. And I think that's where we had a lot of, YouTube content creators, we're really coming together. We're trying to create, videos about China. And I mean, it was just an amazing time. And then obviously being locked out because of the pandemic, and then finally having that end earlier this year. And it's just really great to see China reopen to the world again, because I think that's really important for many reasons. Number one, when China is cut off from the world, then many people, they don't get an insight into China. And that's why we've seen, I think, a lot of people's perception of China has deteriorated a lot in the last few years because the border's closed. They didn't have a chance to come. 2019, there were tons of Americans that were coming over and, wanting to see what China's like and experiencing it as a tourist. And when it's closed off, it almost becomes this forbidden land, that we don't see anymore. And, it's, I think that's really important now. That's a really big mission on why I'm back here.
Yeah. And, I told you to open the show because, this is your city. I mean, my viewers, you're normally seeing me in Chongqing with the Chongqing skyline, but this skyline is to die for here. We're currently, I think, 46 stories up in the Ritz-Carlton here in the Pudong area, the financial district here of Shanghai. But yes, I mean, some people are quite surprised that we are just meeting for the first time. But it's true. As of about 3 hours ago, I've never met this guy in person. And when you meet that person and you understand, what we've talked about, what we've gone through with our viewers, how we've had this experience for more than 4 years, and then finally meeting, it's kind of like a relief to kind of say, okay, we're through this tough period in humanity. It's been a very difficult time, especially for some of you viewers that have reached out to us that have had a very difficult last few years. And I think we can finally see it through the other side now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a lot of optimism. I mean, Alex and I, we just went for a walk on the Bund, which is obviously it's a very famous walking district that's basically on the other side of the river that has this beautiful view of the skyline that we're in right now, Pudong. What's amazing is the streets were packed. I mean, the Bund was absolutely packed. I mean, there's a lot of tourists from all over China. I mean, I think the summer season is now starting, right? I think a lot of kids are starting to get out of school. Probably families are traveling. And it's awesome. I mean, I mean, there were thousands upon thousands of people, which, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot for China because China has, 1.4 billion people. But, again, it's nice to see people out and about. People, the streets are busy. People are coming here to Shanghai. I mean, great excitement. And we also saw some other foreigners as well. So, I mean, other, again, we're starting to get some of those foreigners to come back to the city, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, being in Chongqing, Cyrus, is quite a bit different than Shanghai. I mean, Chongqing, we don't get many foreigners there, as many as Shanghai here. And actually, I haven't left China since I got here in August of 2021.
Yeah.
So even for me to come to this city here and to see a lot of foreigners around, I really feel like, yes, I'm on vacation. That's my first time traveling in 2 years. And so it's kind of like we have the same feeling arriving in a city, but two completely different circumstances. Just want to say hi to everyone that's joining the stream today. Thank you very much. Shenzhou, I appreciate, and Kevin, once again, we appreciate your support. Pierre, always good to see you. And I think the lily pad, we've had a conversation with him, I believe, before. I think we were going to get him on a show eventually coming up. But we appreciate everybody's support on our channels over the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's always awesome to hear from our fans. And I'm just kind of reading through the comments here as well. And this is really good. So thanks, guys, for your amazing support. And a couple comments. Yeah, we're not in a hologram here. We're right next to each other. He's right next to me. It's a little tricky with the lighting. It's just unfortunately, with the skyscrapers behind us. But we wanted to try to show you this view that's behind us. It's actually much more spectacular in person. But we're trying our best. We're trying to let you guys live vicariously through us, and we want to show you the good views here in China. Yeah.
So Cyrus, I mean, tell me your feeling when you got off the plane a few hours ago, right? How many hours ago did you get off the plane?
So I arrived at about 8 hours ago. So I've been in China for 8 hours, cleared customs. It was interesting. I have to be honest. It was a very surreal feeling to come back to China. And it was, it was a little bit cloudy coming in, and so when I left Seoul, Korea, it was a very bright, sunny day. Not a cloud in the sky. And then I came into Shanghai today. It's a little bit overcast and a little bit more clouds. And the interesting thing is I arrived in Terminal 1 at Pudong Airport, and I have to say it was not busy at all. I mean, there was actually, and I think Pudong is where they're hosting a lot of the international flights. Terminal 2 is, I think, a little bit more domestic. But what was interesting is that we only had 2 flights that came in, and so they're basically just two. Only 2. So like when I went to get my luggage, there's only 2 flights on the board, and I was carousel 13. The other one was carousel 14, but basically all the other carousels. So, I mean, that does show you that there is not as much international traffic here as before. I mean, again, when I last traveled here in 2019, I mean, the world was so interconnected. I mean, there's dozens upon dozens of flights coming in, into China all the time. And so I know, for example, in the United States, I did have some fans ask me, why aren't you flying a Chinese airline, back? Why did you fly through Korea? But Korea was the best. It was the best flight for me, and it just wasn't as many options. That's the plain and simple truth. I had to go through either LA or San Francisco to fly directly. So we haven't seen that. Basically, the U.S. flights are operating at about 10% capacity of what they were, pre-pandemic. So we haven't seen that fully open. So the airport was a little bit strange, to be honest. It didn't feel as vibrant as before. It felt very much almost like a ghost town, to be completely honest. There wasn't many people there. I got my luggage out. I mean, there wasn't, when you come out of the hallway and enter in, I mean, it's very, very quiet. It's not much going on. And I think that's why I was like, when I came to the Bund, I'm like, okay, here's all the people, here's Shanghai, here we go.
A thing that I want to mention is, I don't think our viewers are aware of this, but when the entire aviation industry shut down, it took planes right off the grid. And what that means is, when you're taking airplanes out of circulation, parking them in the desert for years, I was hearing this from a pilot friend and an air maintenance person that worked for the airlines. He was saying, look, when we take these out, Alex, it's not like you turn the keys and they can go right back onto right back into the air.
Right.
Some of them take 6 months, 9 months, a year to get back into that maintenance, including that. A lot of these airlines either let their staff go.
Yeah.
Now, America had a strategy where I think they kept most of the, and I might not be exact on this, but I know there was support from the government, at least, saying, wait a minute, let's not lay these workers off. You're going to need them. This is an industry that is very affected by, if planes stop flying, people will shift to another job or do other things.
Right.
And I'm not going to name airlines, but I know one airline that lost over 50% of its crew within a 2-year period. And what happens is, you got to get all that staff back.
Yeah.
And when you want to get back into circulation, so that's domestically here, no problem. Prices are very good.
Yeah.
But these long hauls where we used to fly, even from Thailand, where I was living before, it would be no problem finding a flight from 800 euros to 1,000 euros return. No problem.
Yeah.
Now, double.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's going to take a while. Like you said, about 10%, right? It's in circulation.
10% of capacity. Yeah. So I mean, it's much less, and the flight's expensive. I mean, it was really expensive to get out here, so it's not cheap. So yeah, I mean, so now a couple questions. Somebody's asking, are there many foreigners in the airport? I did see some foreigners, and I have a kind of an interesting insight. I was talking to a couple of Americans that were on the plane, and one of them had said that he had worked in the agriculture industry, and that he was coming, to look at a project here in agriculture, and that they're looking to do a joint venture, with a Chinese company, in the agriculture space. And so that was quite interesting to hear that. But also another fascinating insight. I spoke to this lady who is a theme park consultant. Okay. And so she's for the last 17 years, she's been an independent theme park consultant, where she travels around the world helping, build different types of theme parks. And Hasbro, the big game board company in the United States, they are building a Hasbro theme park in Chongqing, which is in the very northeast part of China, in between Russia and North Korea. She had joked to me, she's like, pretty amazing spot in the world, between Russia and North Korea. But, Hasbro has identified that as a great area for potential. And I think, like, for example, they have the brands, the Transformers is underneath the Hasbro brand.
Right,
so they're kind of building a Transformers theme park along with some of the other brands from Hasbro. But she said, yeah, the project's going very good. Everyone's excited. It's a great project. And I think it was interesting for me to meet her on the plane, just to meet another American and get an insight into, hey, a lot of times right now in our media, we're hearing that we need to de-risk, we need to decouple from China, we need to de-risk, we need to move away. But you look at, for example, she had mentioned the Universal Studios Beijing is just crushing it right now.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, doing really good. So it's really doing well, and it's been a very successful venture for them. And so that's why, again, and I mean, even like Chongqing, that whole northeast area. Right. I mean, they're really developing that with the ski resorts. That's where a lot of like the Beijing 2022 Olympics, a lot of those winter events, all up in northeast China. We don't typically think of China, for example, as a a skiing destination, but it's quickly turning into that. Obviously, the catalyst from the 2022 Olympics. We don't think of it as a theme park, spot, but there's more and more theme parks coming here. Obviously, Shanghai Disney. That'd be fun. That'd be fun to go check that one.
Give China 10 years. The skiing terrain could massively change in a decade. Another thing that I wanted to point out, Cyrus, I mean, it's been 4 years since you've been here. Okay. What do you plan on accomplishing here? How many days are you going to stay in China this time?
Yeah, so I'm just back for 7 days. I've got a very quick trip. I know that's a really short time, but I think many of you know I've got 3 young children at home, and I'm quite active in their lives. So I don't want to leave the wife and kids for too long. This is actually the longest I've been away from my kids.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like a little test run here, for a longer opportunity. But basically, I'm going to be here for 7 days, and I'm going to do 4 cities in 7 days. So we've got a very action-packed schedule. We've got a lot going on, but it's also, again, we're going to be filming some very unique content. We're going to be filming a lot of unique stories, and I'm excited because, it's going to be jam-packed for 7 days. I'm meeting with a lot of old friends and colleagues and some new friends. We've got a lot of stories to tell, and so I'm going to be visiting, obviously, Shanghai. That's the first. I'm going to stay here for 2 nights, and then we're going to go to Wuxi. So I'm going to take a train to Wuxi. Then we get down to Guangzhou, and then over to Shenzhen, and then back to Shanghai, and then back home. So very aggressive travel schedule. But I'm solo. I'm by myself. I don't have the wife and 3 kids in tow, so I can move a little bit more efficiently.
Now you are a person that really knows this city.
Yes.
A person arrives today. Let's say someone arrives in Shanghai for the first time. Where would you suggest they go?
That's such a good question, Alex. I mean, I always you have to come to the Bund where we were this afternoon, because it is such a historic place, right? I mean, you need to come. So I always like to get out especially when I travel. I mean, I flew 15 time zones to be here. So, I want to get over the jet lag as quick as possible. And for me I always like to get out and start moving, get some fresh air and move. So we went for a beautiful walk this afternoon.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Just on the Bund. I mean, it's perfect temperature. The sun was setting, thousands upon thousands of people around us. Everyone's curious, but it was a nice walk. I mean, it was perfect temperature this afternoon. So I would say, get down to the Bund, go see that big area, go see the highlights there. And there's a couple of things that are really neat. Another one is the French Concession, which
French Concession. Yeah.
French Concession is great. I mean, it's a great walking streets there that you can just walk around. What's so beautiful is it has such a uniqueness there. It's very old and new. You'll see a high-end luxury store, and then right next to it is a noodle shop, and next to that is a dry cleaner. And you'll have all of this just mix of different types of stores and restaurants there, but it's everyone's riding their scooters around. I mean, it's just really a nice little area to go for a walk. And there's also a really great museum that I like. It's called the Urban Planning Museum.
Okay.
And it's right near People Square. And it actually has a great vision of kind of what Shanghai was like in the past, and also a great vision of what it is in the future. So it has the signature thing there is on the 3rd floor. They have this big model of the city and kind of what it's going to look like in 2030. Now, last time I would have been there would have probably been about 8 years ago. So, that was like, let's say 2012 or 2013, they had a model what it would look like, in 2030 or 2040. And again, that's what we know with China, right? They're always planning, 10, 15, 20 years ahead. This is what we want Shanghai to be like.
We were doing a video today, and, my viewers are going to think that I'm a very short guy, but I'm 5'10", and how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4". Okay. Remember that.
Yeah.
when you're watching an upcoming video, this guy is very tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you stand out from everybody here. I mean, it's quite interesting. Another question that I have for you, Cyrus. I mean, where are you going with your channel?
Okay.
Where's your channel going here? What can we look forward to after this trip? Maybe during you kind of explain what you're doing this trip, but what can we look forward to in the rest of this year? Because we're mid part of 2023.
Yeah.
What do we have in store?
Well, I think, what's been really successful for the channel, and I know a lot of the fans, I mean, they really like these deep dives into, just the geopolitics. So just kind of our bread and butter videos, where we're really diving in. I mean, one of the things that I started doing a series on China's Belt and Road Initiative. And I found that really fascinating. Actually, I've got my next video coming out is going to be titled, why is Southeast Asia, choosing China, and it really talks about a lot of, for example, in Malaysia, tremendous amount of cooperation with China in the Belt and Road, actually. And, the interesting thing with Malaysia is that it is, some of the biggest projects in the BRI, some of the fastest to be built, the fastest in implementation, and really the scale, is of the BRI projects. Malaysia is a great example of that working. And I think what kind of the vision with this is always showcasing why the world needs to work with China,
right?
And why even, for example, there's a lot of sometimes there's tensions, over like the growth of China. Sometimes there's disputes on territories, or there's disputes of the United States and China over Taiwan, things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm very much committed to the fact that we've got to find a way for the U.S. and China to work together. That's been the kind of the central goal of the YouTube channel. We're going to continue on that, and it's just really to provide some nuance. And that's why I'm excited to be back this week, is to provide that extra insight that we can really, start to understand China better.
Yeah, I think, we've been doing these live streams, especially in 2023. I mean, geopolitics is at the front of mostly everyone's dinner table conversation.
Right.
No matter how hard we try to include China, there is always a deviation to what's currently going on in Europe right now. It's very complicated, but this is also an opportunity for us to analyze how strong is the, I would say, diplomacy in 2023. Right now, I think diplomacy is failing. And I mean, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Alex. I mean, I think with diplomacy, we can improve so much on the way that we talk to each other, the way that, for example, the U.S. and China should be having an open dialogue, monthly. I mean, there's no reason why Joe Biden and Xi Jinping shouldn't be on the phone once a month.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you have the two big, why not? I mean, it's simple. I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, when the pandemic came in early 2020, all of us shifted to doing Zoom calls, and it's very simple to be doing Zoom. And all of a sudden, like just to get Xi and Biden on a phone call together, it's like, it takes 6 months to arrange, it just takes, and it's such a big deal. I mean, at the end of the day, it should be nothing more than a a Zoom call, just a little bit more formal. But I think, again, these guys need to be talking more. I think that it's also, I think that there needs to be a little bit more mutual respect for both sides as well. I think that the United States, and unfortunately, we tend to come in always with, well, it's our interest, it's our way, our way is superior, and that for China doesn't really fly well, right? They take a little bit of offense to that. And so I think it's the same thing where we just need to be smarter in our communication, and we need better diplomacy.
Yeah, and that's hard to come by nowadays in 2023. I mean, a lot of countries are lining themselves up for, a strategic play here in 2024. China is very, very busy on the diplomatics and the world stage. I mean, just look at the BRI. 140 countries are joining together to prosper nations around the world. I mean, a lot of people say to me, how is the rest of China? I'll give you an example, Cyrus. You've been in America for how long now? I mean,
we went back about 10 months.
10 months.
Yeah.
You walk the streets of a city of, let's say, 28 million people, third largest population in the world, I think. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I read.
Yeah.
So, city of 28 million, streets of Shanghai, streets of London, streets of New York. What would you say would be the difference if you were walking the streets at this hour, let's say at a 8:30 p.m. Streets in New York or even here? Is there a contrast that you notice? I mean, I haven't been to America in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, good question. I mean, I was in New York City last December for a business trip, and it was interesting walking around New York City. I mean, there's a different feel, and I'm not saying this to say that Shanghai is better than New York. I think both are very unique. I was talking to your wife this afternoon where I said, I feel Shanghai is in a very elite group of cities that I would put in exactly like a New York, London, Paris, Shanghai. I mean, this is a very top tier world class city that's how I would classify all of those. I mean, the first word comes safety, right? That's the main thing. I mean, when you look at, that's the thing I don't think a lot of Americans appreciate is just how safe it is in China. And the fact that, if you and I, whatever, if it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, we go out for dinner later tonight, we go out for some drinks. I mean, we could be walking the streets. Nothing's going to happen to us. There's not going to be, you can wear a nice watch. You could have a wallet full of cash. No one's going to bother you. Well, most people don't have the wallet full of cash because it's almost completely digital society now.
Right.
But in theory, you can wear nice clothing and nice things and, safety. I mean, that's been a big thing for me that I've noticed since going back to the US, because safety has become, such a big issue inside of the United States. And it's definitely, that's the main difference there. So again, New York, London, and Shanghai, they're all amazing world-class cities, all first-tier world-class cities, but safety would be much better in Shanghai for sure.
Now, I want to let the viewers know that we're not in our normal studio, as you can see. So we appreciate you guys bear with us during the audio issues and stuff like that. We've kind of worked it out, not perfect, which I wanted it to be, but we'll get there anyway eventually. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that when we put these shows together, Cyrus is in a completely different time zone than I am. Usually we're bringing the team in at around 10, maybe 9 p.m. on a Sunday night. Cyrus is waking up at around 4 a.m. And there's a lot that goes into these live streams. Like, I could show you the equipment that we have to just pack for this. But this is always something that I want to tell the viewers, that this show that we have, the Let's Talk China show, it is something that we are very passionate about, especially me. I'm very passionate about growing this community and being that voice for people. Now, there's going to be some new things that I think that we have already talked about, but in the future, what I would like to bring is more of the audience in on a level where, like George Galloway does in his program. If you got enough guts, he says, call into the show, give this a call. So we're looking at that. I know when I'm in my big studio, I will have that capability to bring people onto the program that want to voice it. And we're not talking about people that need to agree with us. We're talking about people that might have an honest question that says, hey, I was told this about China. Is it true? Or is that true about that? Or, I mean, you had a question from someone before you got on the plane here. Do you remember what we talked about?
Yeah,
today?
I mean, I'll share that with the audience. I mean, this is quite a funny question.
Can I get you some water?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, as I was getting ready, one of my friends back in the United States, he had said, Cyrus, are you ready to go back to China? Do you have enough social credit points, to essentially get on this trip and go there? The government's going to be watching you with everything that you do. And I kind of just smiled and I just said, the social credit system, it doesn't really work like that at all. And he's just like, oh, that's not the impression that I've had from what I've read in our media here, right? I hear that, for example, if you walk across the street in the wrong way, for example, if you just jaywalk across the street, a camera's going to pick that up and, here's minus 100 points in your social credit system. And I said, yeah, it doesn't really work like that at all. I said, actually, in fact, the social credit system is more applicable to companies than it is individuals. And I mean, it's no really different. Like, for example, in North America, we have a credit score. And, for example, if you apply for a new credit card, every time you apply for a new credit card, your credit goes down a little bit. If you miss a payment on your credit card, it goes down a little bit. It's certainly much a more similar system than it's a very similar system to that of what we have in the United States.
Yeah, I'm just reading some of the comments here. Someone said, can be drunk at 3 a.m. on the streets of Beijing and walk home smoothly, left or right. That's interesting comment.
100%. Yeah.
We're looking at you guys' comments. I'm reading from mine, and Cyrus is reading his subscribers as well. Now, another question, kind of to the viewers here. What do you guys and girls and audience here want to see on this show coming up in 2023? We've brought you Peter Schiff. We've had George Galloway on the program, and we have some other names that we're currently really trying to reach out to get them as guests on the show.
Absolutely.
Maybe you guys could tell us what are some people that you're following or that we should really get on this program, because we've had a mix of everything, Cyrus. We've had the Duran on the program, which are incredible.
Very good. The Duran's always good. I think we should really bring them on a little bit more often, because they provide those really good insights, I think is excellent. And I think
we got Jeffrey Sachs here.
So Jeffrey Sachs would be great. Yeah. So let us know in the comments. Anybody else that, any ideas that you have for guests, and let us know what you want to see. We want this to be a show for the people, so it's your show, let us know what you want, and we'll do that.
As I was saying to the people earlier, again today, content creators, you'll find that a lot of these people talk and communicate amongst themselves. I had a gentleman that was on our program, I believe it was about 2 or 3 months ago, Patrick Lancaster, who's given us a real good insight on what's going on in the Ukraine situation as well. The Duran give another side of that. Peter Schiff gives the financial side, which he's very well educated on what's going on, especially in the Asian economies here.
For sure.
Cyrus, okay, key question now. You're in America, right? And your channel, I call him the ambassador of peace. That will always stick with me and the viewers, of course. But do you feel that your community, it's been growing a lot lately?
Yeah.
What do you think is making this audience grow? Because you are growing thousands a month now. There's been a tremendous amount of growth.
Thank you, buddy. I think, to be honest, it's just, I think we've just been telling some interesting stories, and really just trying to find some unique stories that aren't really being told elsewhere. Mm-hmm. For example, I know that China is doing a lot with the Belt and Road Initiative, and I don't see a lot of other YouTubers, covering that. Right? So I've been doing a lot of deep dive analysis into, what's really going on in Africa. Why is African countries choosing to work with China? Mm-hmm. What is the purpose behind that? We know the purpose, but what is the reason? And I've got another video, like I said, coming out in a couple of days that's about Southeast Asia. And there's a really great quote in there from one of the, I think it's the president of Indonesia, where he has a great quote about the Belt and Road. And he says, this is real life, tangible things. These are things that we can hold in our hands. These are things that can really make a difference. This is like things that we dream about, and that's what the Belt and Road Initiative means to us. That's a paraphrase. I have the actual
keep going.
Quote.
I'm going to shut our ticker off here.
Yeah. So I have
the
that.
Show started.
Yeah. So I think, it's just amazing to kind of do those research and really understand a lot, why is the global South, why does the global South support China so much? Why does the global South, not support U.S. sanctions towards Russia? A lot of it comes down to respect. For example, when China comes into Africa, there's 54 countries in Africa. China tends to treat all of these countries as individuals and goes through and labels, what does each country individually need? And that's something that I want the U.S. to improve on, is because when we come in, we look at Africa as a continent and we just say, here, this is what Africa needs, right? But it's much more than just one place. It's very diverse and great.
Here's a question I think someone's asked me a couple of minutes ago. Why did you start this YouTube channel?
Yeah. So, I started the YouTube channel just based out of a passion for China, and really wanting to see the U.S. and China relationship improve. That was really the goal, and I think one of the things that, for the long-term fans, you'll always hear me say is that, when the United States and China work together, the entire world is going to win. And also, the U.S. and China have to work together. There's really no other option, right? A war is not an option. Even decoupling is not an option. Certainly there are some foreign companies that are moving some of their production outside of China, I would say more diversifying than anything. But, I was reading a report that says, hey, by 2026, India is going to be able to produce 20% of their iPhones in 20% of the iPhones will be produced in India. And I'm like, okay, well, the other 80 is still coming from China.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still, it's still the vast majority of the world's iPhones are coming from China. Interesting enough, I mean, Elon Musk was just here in Shanghai, and huge meeting, and people don't realize is that, and this is what I covered in one of my last videos, is just how instrumental Elon Musk and Tesla has been to the entire Chinese EV industry. But not only that, Elon Musk has benefited tremendously from China. In 2022, 50% of all the cars made by Tesla were made in China.
And it's the battery technology that's coming out of here as well. We discussed, you were talking about the Belt Road Initiative, the BRI. I mean, coming from Chongqing here, that's a very, very integral part of the economy there. They are connected with the ILSTC and also the Chongqing Chengdu Economic Circle. I mean, these are two mega cities with a population within that area of over 100 million people. I mean, this is the size of countries. I mean, 3 times the size of Canada. And you see the technology, the push forward for that. Did you think, though, Cyrus, that your YouTube channel would ever be, as big as it is now, though? I'm curious about this because we reached out. I had a very small channel when I reached out to yours. I think I don't know, maybe I was at 7,000 or 8,000. You're at 3,000 or 4,000. I never thought I would have my channel as big as it is now. But with the size of your channel, did you ever think this audience would continue this big?
Well, it's interesting, Alex. Is I mean, whenever you start a YouTube channel, it's a learning process, right? You have no idea what you're doing. You're just starting out, and the thing is I saw some potential in this, and I kind of made a goal to myself. I said, if I can get to 10,000 subscribers, that'll be a sign that this is actually people actually really like this content. But if I just keep making content every week and every month, and I don't gain any traction, I don't really see anything, and I don't get that 10,000, I'll probably just call it and just be like, okay, it was a good idea. But what's interesting is that we have so many people reach out for support, and it just shows you how much the Chinese community and also people that, and it's not like only Chinese people follow our channel. We've got a lot of foreigners that have spent many years in China that have now, either repatriated or they're still here in China, that are avid watchers of the channel and just saying, wow, thanks for being fair, which is kind of what you wanted to point out in the beginning. I mean, that's one of the things that you always said is, that you wanted to really highlight Chongqing, for example, right? Chongqing is a city that you felt was a little bit, not underdeveloped, but just under-recognized on the international stage, right? Like Chongqing is not at the level of a Shanghai, as far as
we're coming hard, though.
Yeah,
we're going.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, and again, obviously Shanghai is the business district. It's an easier contact point for people coming in from North America because it's on the East Coast. But you've done a great job in trying to highlight Chongqing and really this amazing city out west.
There's something I also want to say is that a lot of viewers expect guys like us to know everything about China. That's virtually impossible. Like, people might say, well, you need to speak the language to understand it, or you need to go to this area of the country to understand the political parts. My focus has been Chongqing. My focus is understanding Chongqing. Now, you asked me a question about Chongqing. There's a pretty good bet that I pretty much know what I can know about the city, and that is with research, putting that time and energy and understanding. My focus, my viewers know my focus. I love watching infrastructure projects. This is a city that is very dynamic when it comes to bridges. City of 14,000 bridges, largest monorail in the world. 90% of the intellectual property for monorails is now built in Chongqing with their own patents as well. And understanding, and that is my focus. So, I'm not a foodie, so I'm not really focused on the Chinese food that much. But when it comes to infrastructures, statistics, buildings, international land sea trade corridors, Chongqing economic circles, Belt Road initiatives, things like that is where I'm really focused on. Back over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you do a great job. And I mean, you're also the king of the drones, right? I mean, you've got the drones dialed in, and I'm just looking at all of our comments here. I mean, we got Jimmy Dore, We've got a lot of Jackson Hinkle, Nathan Rich, Professor Wolf Kishmore, Mapobani. I know that we had the other, who's the colonel? That's Bobby Kennedy Jr. I mean, that would be wild. Sean Fu is good. I like Sean. He does some good videos as well. Martin Jacques, Daniel Dumrill.
Eric Lee.
Yeah, Eric, and then
Colonel McGregor.
He'd be a great one. So I mean, these are all great suggestions here, guys. So thank you so much for that. And question, are you in China? Yes, we are in China. We're live from Shanghai right now. We're live in the Ritz-Carlton Pudong. This is so exciting. I mean, to be here, this is like a dream come true for me to come back to Shanghai after so long. It's, there's a certain energy that cannot be replaced in China. Yeah, it's a great energy in the city. And it's just, in many ways, I felt like I was going to China for the first time, today. Like, it was just a very interesting feeling getting on the airplane again and flying across the world. But I mean, once you get out, once I crossed that, security clearance there at the airport, got my passport stamped, I was like, wow, I'm back to my second home here.
Now, you had some surprising news about, getting this visa here. You already had a visa and they reinstated it. Did you have to do anything else to get this visa reactivated, or was it ready to go?
Ready to go. And what was interesting is that they didn't even check it, at the airport either, which I was surprised. Normally, they were just like, they just looked at the passport and then just said, all right, go to Korea. And then when I went to Korea, they're just, they didn't really check the Chinese visa at all. So it was very I would imagine I would have thought they would have checked. And, just for anybody that is traveling to China, I did have an incident today where there was a Korean gentleman that was in front of me.
Good story.
Yeah. Well, basically I have a tourist visa, right? I have a 6-month multiple entry tourist visa, and he basically has the same one. He has a tourist visa, and he came in, and on this little arrival card, he put business. And then he also and then when they asked him, he said, I'm here for meetings. And then they're like, well, you have a tourist visa, right? So you need to be, just make sure you definitely
tick the right
box. But it's also a little bit different. I mean, there's more protocols now. For example, you have to give your fingerprints when you go, and then the arrival card for many years was always a yellow arrival card. Did you have a yellow arrival card before? Or was it always blue?
Oh boy. Well, okay, wait. So remember, and this is something that I want to tell you.
You only did one. You haven't left China.
I came here in August 2021, and my first flight. This is crazy. My first flight in 2 years was to meet this guy here in Shanghai. So we kind of had the same feeling. I mean, I came here. It's the first time I've seen foreigners in a while. We hardly have any foreigners in Chongqing, but what a great feeling. It's so exciting, walking along the Bund there and seeing the city, if you ever have this feeling where you're not getting the buzz that you missed from traveling, maybe it's cities that have lost it. This city has still got it, even though it hasn't reached that potential back to pre-pandemic days of, tourists, it's coming back, and you feel it coming back more and more every day.
Absolutely. It's an encouraging sign. I mean, because we know that, China's economy is not back fully to strength yet. I mean, and even like, for example, if we're looking at the consumer trends of, how much of the retail sales, right? Like, that has not returned back to this pre-COVID level. A lot of people felt that like once China opens that up, that all of a sudden everyone's going to be doing this revenge spending and everything's going to be booming. I mean, it's a little cautious, right? Definitely people are cautious after 3 years of lockdowns and just, it's not like everyone's like, hey, we're going to just go crazy now. It's, but it's kind of an Asian thing, right? A little bit more casual or a little bit more conservative,
So, who I want to have on the show?
Yeah.
Take a big guess.
Probably some guy in Russia.
No. I would like to have Gordon Chang on the program.
I actually thought about that.
I would like to say, listen, Gordon, I have a video of 2001 I would like to show you.
Yeah.
I have a video of 2007 I'd like to show you. A video of 2013 and a 2023 video. I'd love to have him on the program, not just because of his wild predictions, but really I would like him to hear firsthand from a person living here in China, being here for a few years, getting into the culture, understanding the dynamics, the investments, the infrastructure investments. Because once again, I'm right into these infrastructure videos as well. You can see they're all over my channel, as well as you got me into the space stuff. I started with one video after he made an amazing space video, and then I ended up doing 10 more. The latest one was on Mars, which people are very curious about it. But I would like to have him on the program and to see what, maybe not necessarily hearing him make a prediction, but what drove him in this direction to feel that this country is going to collapse. I'm curious about that.
Yeah, that'd be good. It'd be good.
Who do you like to have in here?
Those are kind of all on my kind of my wish list. All the guys that we talked about. I mean, I think I would like to get these colonels in because there's another couple of guys that are very good. They're very good with the Ukraine situation as well, which I'm not an expert on Ukraine, Russia, but it is obviously something that's a very big story that's a part of our world and important. I think, but here's an interesting one like. Gordon Chang, please be diplomat and gentle. And Gordon Chang hasn't stepped in China before. I'd be interested to know if he's actually ever been to China in his life. I don't know, maybe once back in the day.
That's a good question.
Maybe it's a great question, actually. Has he ever actually been to China? I would be sure that I don't think he has, to be honest.
Because I haven't seen him. I've seen him with the green screen backdrops talking about China, but I actually haven't seen him in a seat.
No, I mean, I don't think he's ever been to China.
Really?
I don't think so. I mean, if he has, it would have had to been a long time ago. It would have had to been before he wrote his book, The Coming Collapse of China.
I'm also seeing that. I'm also seeing a lot of really a big change in the mainstream media. We're seeing some names come onto the YouTube platform that were part of cable TV news. Leaving that platform, and maybe that's going to balance this space out for us because we do need some people in our corner to, continue to keep this going. I know Galloway. You've been on Galloway's program before? Not yet. Probably. Oh, Piers Morgan. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, with Galloway, he is a guy that is really trying to do a lot for this community, and help out with this community. So, did you get a good sleep on the plane?
I did. I get a good sleep on the plane.
Yeah.
I slept very good on the plane.
The time zones
I'm feeling a little tired at the moment right now, though. I've had this is my third interview, and I've been in Shanghai for 8 hours. This is my third interview today. So I mean, we're not, we're not wasting time here. We're getting right to work.
Yeah, I had a pretty busy morning. I was with the Shanghai media group as well for the better part of the morning. And seeing what they're doing down there as well. But pretty exciting things. So you're going to be back in the United States in 7 or 8 days?
Yeah.
People have said, why is he going back so quick? I mean, you got a family there.
Yeah.
You can't really take too much time out from that. And
for sure.
But you're chock-a-block. 3 more cities or 4 more cities?
3 more. After
3
this.
more.
Yeah. I mean, trust me. I mean, I would love to. I mean, I've never been to Chongqing. I mean, in a perfect world, I'd love to, fly tomorrow with Alex and go back to Chongqing and go explore that for 3-4 days, make a bunch of good content for you guys. But, I got to be grateful for what I have, which is an amazing opportunity. I'm going to be going to Wuxi, and I'm going to tell you guys a little preview here of what I'm going to be doing. There is a Norwegian fan. His name is Tommy. He has a fantastic company. I actually connected with him on LinkedIn. He's been a very big fan of my YouTube channel for a long time, many years now. And Tommy owns a textile factory in Wuxi. And he basically has started this company with a Chinese investor. They both own the factory together. And what's incredible is that Tommy, he's been a big fan. And he said, Cyrus, I just love how you're a bridge builder. I want to bring you to China. I want to fly you out here. I want to bring you to China. And I want you to tell our story. And so so we're going to make a really cool film, a video, talking about that. And one of the things that, in our prep calls, I'll give you guys a little bit of a preview. So thanks for everybody who's joining in on the live stream. You get a little extra content here and kind of some stories about that. But one of the things that we talked about, in our recent phone call, Tommy said, in Europe, they have started to have these very strict regulations about the you know how these garments are being produced and the materials that are being sourced and all of these things. They need to be a very high standard. Basically, we're going to come in with a new high standard, and so he's able to do that in China. That's where he's able to find that high standard and get that signed off, and that's why again, even he's from Norway, so he works with a lot of very top high-end Scandinavian brands and even ski brands. So they need supreme quality. That's
and you're going to give us an insight of what that looks like coming up.
Yeah, so we're going to be filming that factory. Tommy just messaged me. He's like, "Hey, I've got a big dinner planned for you with about 20 of our staff." And he's like, all of them are so amazed that an American wants to come to China to come visit us and tell our story. And so, we're going to speak Chinese. We're going to speak Chinese with them. We're going to kind of give you guys an inside behind the scenes tour of what that factory is like, but also talk to Tommy because one of the things we were chatting about is he said, Cyrus, Europe has come out with these new regulations that we need to follow. And, we're able to follow all those in China, like no problem. Like we're able to, check all the boxes and still send that back to Europe. So that's really good.
Well, I also want to, let the audience know that, you're putting out a lot of content. This, filming is one thing, editing, getting into the studio, putting these videos together take a tremendous amount of time. I know the average video that we produce for our channel, Yulia is involved in every one of the productions that I put on Reporterfy Media. We are putting anywhere from 40 to 60 hours into every single production that goes out there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the community understands that, how much time and energy that is, but it's a tremendous amount of time and energy. We don't have these big, massive studios that are behind us. But as our channel grows, we continue to reinvest in our channels to try to improve that. Bringing this on the road was kind of an experiment. We can learn from how to make our show a little bit better as well.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to probably wind down this live stream, take you out for a drink if you still got some energy.
Yeah, let's do it. That sounds good. And, I saw somebody give us a little super chat here from CK. Good evening, Cyrus and Alex. Have you guys been to karaoke yet? Get some beer after this with a little smiley face. So thank you so much for that super chat, my friend.
And Yanni, thank you also for your super chat as well. Yes, a devout Catholic, yet very positive on China. I have a feeling I've met this person. Anyway, I had somebody run into us here at the hotel yesterday, and they were working in the financial sector here in Shanghai, and they said, you know what? We really like what you guys are doing, and we need a voice out there in the community. And yes, well, I'm going to hand it back over to Cyrus. I'm going to zoom in the camera a bit. He's going to talk for a bit, and then we're going to wind up the show. Okay, sound good, buddy?
Absolutely.
All right,
absolutely. Good. Yeah, this is King. Oh, I got a special live stream here. I got a special day tomorrow in Shanghai, filming a bunch of content here. And it truly is, content creation is a full-time job. A lot of us, we pour our hearts and our souls into these channels, and we really, I don't think you guys realize how much it means when you guys send us an encouragement, and whether it's a comment or an email, and those really go a long way. Content creators, we really value that. We really, it really does motivate us as well. To keep working hard and making this content. And there's nothing better than when you work hard on a project, you push that publish button and your audience likes it, and you really get that support. So that's fantastic. So everybody, this has been a very busy day for me. I'm going to probably go out with Alex now. We're going to go explore Shanghai a little bit, see what we can get into. I'm going to stay up a little bit longer, and I think I'm going to have a nice sleep tonight. I'm a little tired after that long flight, but we're going to shake off that jet lag. And I'm really excited because, again, the goal with this stream, or the goal with this trip, I should say, is really let's see what China is like in 2023. I'm meeting a ton of people over the next week. I've got a lot of amazing stories that I want to share with you. And I really want people to, this is basically China in 2023 through Cyrus Jansen's eyes, and I want to take you guys along the journey. I know a lot of fans have reached out and said, I'm just really, I want to go back to China, but I can't. So I'm going to really live vicariously through you. Right? I'm really going to be watching these videos with excitement. I've got a lot of great, emails. I mean, my inboxes were just flooded with people. As soon as I posted that on my community post that I'm coming back to China, and I listed the cities, I mean, I had people from everywhere just reaching out. Hey, stay with me here. Let's go for a dinner here. Let's go for a coffee here. I mean, and it's so encouraging, to build up a community like this. So our commitment is always that we're going to try our best. We're going to keep putting out good videos for you guys. We're going to keep, trying to put out the videos that you like to see, and we're going to always keep working hard. So I got a couple of other super chats that came in. I just want to give a little shout out, and they are from Micah Loke. Thank you so much. And then Vicious Ed. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. And I am so happy. And thank you guys for all of your, support here. I love this comment. I'm a huge fan of your amazing work. Actually inspired me to start and document my life experiences in China. That is also music to our ears, with content creators. One of the first content creators that inspired me was Daniel Dumro. I mean, he was one of the first guys that really inspired me to start a YouTube channel. And then obviously, Alex, I met you very early into my YouTube journey, and I'm very excited that it's culminated here with us meeting in Shanghai. So everybody, we're going to do what we do best. We're going to roll out with an outro here. We'll stick around in the comment section for a little bit longer. But thank you all. Signing off from Shanghai, and stay tuned for some more amazing content.